Okay, so look at where we are. This is approximately 5.2 hours of recorded time that you have watched to get to this point. It's been a fair bit more for me, mostly just sitting and thinking about what I want to do next. So you might want to keep that in mind, that there's the watching, there's the following, and then there's the doing, and then there's the sitting and thinking about what you're going to do. So be prepared that this is a long task, as if you've gotten this far with your model you've already discovered. Um, but this really is the fun part here, because just about every bit of networking of topological flow that needs to be considered has been considered, with the exception of small unique things with digits, the big toe, little toe, uh, the palm of the hand. There's little things, and then maybe, I mean, my shoulders are looking pretty darn good. I'm not really sure I want to do much more to them other than just increase their poly count, and of course raise the arms up, as we've already discussed. So a lot of the network is just laid out for us. We're doing great, and I'm going to come right back to the face. I want to keep going on this. This is exciting here, and get this modeling toolkit going, and get this uh, uh, muzzle loop going. So I've talked about it. Let's do it. So the muzzle loop from that initial extrusion is really easy. Same concept with the mouth here, where the mouth will be closed, just like how the eye is closed. There will be an inner mouth eventually. Truthfully, I never really planned on making teeth or the inside of the mouth for this character, for this object, or maybe at all. Although it would probably be really good for you to see me do that. I'll consider it on this piece. Maybe I'll save that for one of the other characters I have in mind. There you go. There's the muzzle loop. Um, a simple from the bridge of the nose. Probably drop it a little bit from there, and come around the J hook of the nose. Really nice. Yeah, let's get some of these simple things around the eye cleaned. Relatively straight up and down here. Where does that go now? Yeah, okay, that's pretty sweet. It's going to cut right across the mouth. It's going to add to the cheek. It's going to add to the jowls. That is nice. A good early decision there. That's going to give me more on the face, as well as on the jaw. Nice. That's the weird one. That's the weird one that formed. So we'll have to be mindful of that guy. That's a weird one. Let's get this one in. This is just like how there's a corner of the eye running to the ear, this is the corner of the mouth running to the ear. Definitely, which makes a nice even spacing on the cheeks. And this can be pulled back. And this is eventually going to become the mouth. So upper end of the lips. To the nose. Yeah, that's what I thought was it. That's what I thought was happening. So we need to before I commit any more to edge loops. Yeah, take that out. Okay, so basically get down to that simple setup here and get these things all where they're supposed to be with the lips. Then we'll insert this. There we go. That's much easier to deal with. Much easier to deal with. There's that incredibly beautiful and simple muzzle loop. We really want that muzzle loop to be in charge around the jaw. So I'm going to be careful not to raise that edge to be too far away, to be too high. I want to bring it down lower under the chin some. So that's just far too high. Down here would be better. Way down here. Yeah. Way better. Again, because of the way the flesh pulls on the face, you know, when you open the jaw, how it's gonna pull on that bit of flesh there. Yeah, so I'm going to make a strong brow here so these come forward. And this can recede back for the eye, the one that I just inserted there. Let's take a look at that in perspective. Yeah, you can see how it starts to form. Back to right. Pull these forward. Almost to that center line, and that second one is almost level. And that's when you're about right. Yeah, that's feeling better. It's so strange in the beginning, isn't it? So unusual and weird and zombified at multiple stages, and alien-like. And then it'll gradually evolve into something human. Spend a little bit of time on the eyes. It's worth it. It can help remove any kind of demoralizing feelings you might be having about how terrible your work is. Spend a little time around the eyes. Might make you feel a little bit better. I know it does for me. Get those down. So this edge that I'm manipulating to give you a thought process on it, this one here, this outer, I guess that's the middle one, this middle edge loop, that one is, where the eye is deepest, really. That's when that one currently represents. And then I'm going to split it again, right there. And that's where I'm going to start to form the ball. That's where the ball becomes more clear. Yep, there we go. Starting to see it. I'm not really impressed with myself having formed a clear and distinct um, five point right here. Um, so don't be surprised if I'm try to find a way to move that around. But I'll tell you what's the most frustrating thing that I have right now with the face, and will inevitably force me to cut into the polygons and force a redirection. It's what's happening right here on the jawline. I like, okay, I like these edges here, that edge, that one. No problems with that. It's how this corner formed. And then of course ultimately the direction of that loop that I've already found disgusting. I may end up using that and then maybe stopping it dead somewhere, stopping it with a triangle or something. I can't see myself with a complete quad-based solution, although I will strongly strive for that. So, in order to get the kind of detail that I expect in a mesh, I would need to split several times across the cheeks. And in order to accommodate the whole mesh, the best way to do this is to cut a hole in the eye, to cut away those polygons, and to cut away the polygons that make up the mouth, and then just deliver as many edge loops as I can, as I need, between the cheek, between the mouth and the eye. And another solution is to cut a hole in the nostril of the nose, which we're going to get to help limit the number of edge loops flowing across the mesh. now's a good time to split the mouth on the halfway and on the muzzle. That's a good time, really good time. And also split upper lip. Yeah, let's just split the outer lip, and then we'll do the inner. And I'll go to the right hand view. Yeah, right there's about the corner of the mouth, isn't it? Right there. So I'm a little bit far away. About there. Oh, don't need that. Wait, which one is this? This is the outer edge of the lip. No, that makes sense. Yeah, it does come in a corner. Just giving myself a little bit of room there. Precision will pay off, whether this is a retopo or a start from scratch like I'm doing now. Oh, I see. So there's some discrepancy between the right hand view and the front view, so we're going to have to bounce between the two. Yeah, so that lower lip discrepancy there. I think that looks better from the front view, that shape. Yeah, that does look better. And besides, I can still cut here. Yeah, see, there's a discrepancy there too. Okay, so that's okay. We'll go here, and I'll cut one more, insert one more, just in the outside of the lip. Hmm. Yeah, so only in perspective is that, clear as day. So how it's kind of arcing out on the corner. Classic. So let's go back to the right hand view. So I'm on point with that, so just bring these forward. Straight forward. Actually, just on the z-axis. All of these. Let's see that now. Better. A little bit better. also constrained on the z-axis, so this will work out. And there comes a point where on the really minuscule things, references, just don't cut it. You have to use what you know, you have to use your references, you have to look in the mirror. There is no artist that I've ever worked with that could get this close and care. Let's pull back. Okay, I think all of this cheek can come forward too. This can go back. Turn them all back on there. Get this guy. It's not going where I want him to go. Of course, you've noticed by now the extreme angles. Looking at it at these extreme angles. Okay, that is far too like a fish. Okay. Way too much like a fish. All of that needs to come forward. Which is interesting because that seems to betray the drawing. Maybe that drawing's not so good after all. I don't know. Actually, it wouldn't hurt. Yeah, I'm way too far back. Come to think of it. Really, the corner of the lip's probably like right there. And I'm way back here. So let's move. Let's just grab all of that. Scale. Z-axis. Oh. Of course. Scale. Z-axis. And then translate Z-axis. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, better. And then bring the cheek forward. All of that. Before going any further, I want to address this one poly loop that I feel is not something that I want, which is this one right here. So everything around it is good, and so somewhere in the process, this one poly loop formed that I'm not entirely happy with, and I'm not entirely happy with this corner where there was a box, there was a corner here, and I don't want that corner to happen right here on the fleshy bit of the cheek. So that's something I definitely want to avoid. I've seen this before, and I want to get rid of that quickly. So I've done quite a bit of modeling off camera as an experiment, and I just kind of ran as far as it could go. I had the nose done and everything, and and I just discarded that to come back here to see if my plans are working, and I believe that they will. And the plan is to remove. So and this is my first. Well, I think it's the first. I can't remember anymore. This is the next morning for me. Let's turn on symmetry. I think this is my first real surgery in the mesh. I don't think I've done anything where I've deleted and re-stitched things together. So watch what happens when I remove this and then stitch things back together again. I think I want to go all the way to there. Okay, so then I'm going to use the target weld. I just click and drag point A to point B. Okay, so what this does, yeah, I don't want to go there. No, I do want to go there. So I still have the split coming across the eye. I still have that one. And notice now, oops, notice now how it spirals. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. You see how it spirals? So it goes all the way around the head. Then it spirals back to the ear. All right. So this is the end result of cutting into the mesh and sewing things back together again. You end up with spirals. Not always a bad thing. And this is certainly my first spiral. And I can help reduce the effect of this by placing a triangle right here at the back of the ear. Either there or here. And I'll use the multi-cut tool to do that. So I'll just click point to point and then hit enter on my keyboard. And now when I split this, it'll just go around the ear, towards across the temple, down the cheek to the chin. And that's okay. That's completely fine. And I'll be able to get one split out of that. I'll be able to add one, just like that. And then it gives me some interesting work around the jaw. So now, yeah, let's use edge slide. So now, actually no, let's not use edge slide. When I pull these down, now I'm really making decisions that define the jawline. So I want to take the tension. See how this has tension? See how this one point is too far away from those other three? That would cause a texture stretch. So we want to try and reduce, excuse me, we want to try and reduce that tension. Like that. Now, we're starting to lose jawline. So this is where, okay, let's keep that. Yeah, that's okay. Then this is where we would have the face loop, which is, where did you go? That's a face loop. That's a face loop. That is the one that goes around the neck. Okay, that's cool. That's still good. And I can use any of those to help define jaw. So I think I'll grab one, two, three, four. Yeah, that'll give me a total of 7 if I split that once, split that once, that once, that once. Okay. So there. And let's go back to front view and see how much damage we're doing. So we're doing a little, actually let's go to perspective. So we're doing a little bit of damage to it because we're nudging these around. But that's much cleaner on the jawline than I had earlier. This is way better. And then as we go, as we spend time here, this will be divided because we're going to split right there. So hopefully that makes sense. I really tried my hardest not to have that happen. Perhaps in the next generation of making this figure, that won't happen. I'll have a little better foresight. But some of those things, sometimes that's just inevitable, and honestly, it's not bad for you to see that. It's not bad at all to understand the repercussions of cutting into the mesh and restructuring it, and that spirals are the end result. So I want to open up the muzzle loop considerably, and I know it's going to make the character look malformed, but I want to give some space here and get ready for a couple of insertions. That's why I'm moving these vertices around. I'm moving these down to get ready for an insertion here. I just want to take this one out for the moment so that we'll simplify the problem. Back to perspective. Back to front view. I want to move, using edge constraints, I want to move this closer. Do I want to move that closer? Not at the top of the brow, because I'm going to put a U shape in here. But definitely at the bridge of the nose, bring that in closer. Let's turn off the edge constraint. Smooth things out a little bit here. Things keep getting nudged off of the contours because I keep reassessing my decision. Okay, now I'm going to do something a bit dramatic. My next move is to add a lot of edges so that I can better determine the course of the face. I really got off contour here. Much better. So one of the cool things about being able to drop up, to being able to see all the, visualize all the loops is that I can drop these edges in very fast. So what I'm going to do is go through a process of dropping edge loops of where I need them, and I'll describe each one and their function. Okay, so the first two are across the eye. So right now we have the minimum coming into the eye, which is a total of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 8. And I said I eventually want to have 16. So that means I'm going to have, that's 2 more, so that's 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so that's the total 16 coming in to the eye, to articulate the eyeball. And then I'm going to come across, I'm holding control for all of these splits too, by the way. And I'm going to add several around, 3 more around the eye. I'm going to add 1 more to 2 more that go across the nose. And that's going to come across the cheek. So they're going to come across the nose to the cheek. Let me undo that. Let me just put 1 in there for now. I'm going to have at least 1, 2, 3 more for the muzzle. And that's eventually going to turn into nose. And then 1 more there, I guess 4. And we'll put 1 more on the front side of the lips. And looking at the face, 1 more here from mouth to ear. See, the density just shot right up nice and high. And not there. Not that one. Okay. And then we could put more around the cranium, although I don't think we really need to. And then we have this special one that goes around the neck. We could add more vertices down the line of the neck to articulate the sternocleidomastoid. In the larynx. And we could also come across here. It looks like, yeah, there's 1 more there. No, not really, not 1 more there. Okay, so this looks pretty good. So just turn everything off, pull back, have a look, and you can see how, rigid everything is, right? So we have work to do around the eye and around the mouth and the nose, but this gives us a real map of what it's really going to look like and what my poly count is really going to look like. There's still some more polygons to add. There's still ears and digits, but this is getting very, very close to the actual poly count. And that's enough geometry in the face to solve your animation needs. You might need more around the brow if you're going for a very realistic animation on the brow. And you would split the brow probably, like I said, Jason Osipa says 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 7, 8. That's enough there on the brow. Oh, and that one special cut that I prepared for with that triangle, that one right there. Yep. Okay. Now, if I want any more to run from mouth to cheek, and I do, I'm going to cut out the polygons that are just on the inside of the eyelid and just on the inside of the mouth. so that they only travel between mouth and eye. And I will do that because I do need to have 2 more here. Okay, so the beauty of all of this is now I can remove things to simplify and say, okay, yeah, this is where I want to go. This looks good. And now I can come in here and say, all right, well, I don't need that right now. I don't need that right now. I don't need that right now. In fact, what I really found cool about this process, as I went through some of it already, is that I could like insert, like take all that stuff out of the eye and then put it back. And then when I put it back, it changes the topology a little bit. You see how it pulled that eye forward a little? So it wasn't as sunk in. And so we can use that curvature detection stuff to our advantage. It looks like I lost symmetry. Also, we can start to very quickly find the nose. And this is what's, I think, really cool about this. So now, whoops. So now what's really cool is the finding the nose. So let's just spend a moment here articulating the shape of the nose and bring this edge in close. Here, I'm just going to pause for a second and fix my symmetry. Oh, here's a new thing about fixing symmetry. In the mirror geometry tool, because we have so much more detail, don't use the merge with original feature inside mirror options. The range of tolerance is too great and it will pull too many vertices together. So turn that off. And then select it in object mode and go to Edit Mesh, Merge Components option box and set the threshold to 0.001. And then go ahead and soften the mesh again. So that's going to ensure that the vertices that are very, very close to each other, like around the corners of the mouth and such, they're not going to get pulled together. And also remembering that our character is larger. It's 1/4 scale, but it's also 46 units tall. So 0.001 shouldn't capture even the smallest space between our eyelids and our lips. Okay, back to the nose. Great. So my experiments and experience has showed me that 3 on the front of the 6 polygons on the front end of the nose is what you need to make the nostril. Not the nostril, the loop that hooks around the whole nose, the front end of the nose, and then the nostril is going to come out of this. Okay, so the 6 extrude. Let's do an extrusion of 0.1 offset. That's pretty good. And then we'll use these to shape the nose. And apparently my symmetry's off. Let me fix that. Okay, symmetry's back on. Edge slide, turn that off. And there we go. See it? There it is. There's the beginning. And let's pull these forward. Forward, forward, forward. Well, eventually. Those can stay back there. Yeah. Okay, and then I want to do an insertion around the nose, this new loop, okay, that one. And then these three become the nostril. Can you see it? Those three, that corner, that transition becomes the nostril. And it works out really nicely because of the direction of the cuts, I can split the nose that way, here and here. I can split the nose this way, hooking around towards the chin. That's nice when I want to articulate the tip of the nose a little bit more and get some creasing around the mouth, on the corners of the mouth as well. That's nice. And I can split, yeah, and then of course I can split vertically, so from eye to mouth. So when I cut the polygons out of the mouth and I cut the polygons out of the eye there, this will run from eye to mouth. So that will work out nicely. And even when I inset it, so these three are extruded. Let's do an offset of 0.01 so we can see the border, and then tweak the vertices just a wee bit. Okay, and then let's take just a little bit of tweaking here, and then let's take those three again and extrude again, and then translate straight up. And let's scale them in a little bit. Keep it simple, really simple. Don't do anything else on the inside of the nose, at least not yet. Okay, and then we can spend some time articulating the shape. Probably a good idea to get the J-hook in here really early. The J-hook seems very hard. If you've studied with me from years and years ago, you'll think, okay, this is going to be really hard. But I have had several fast successes in recent years because of my thought process for full appendage extrusions. So think of it this way, like we did with the head, we're going to do another full extrusion. So select a loop around the lip and then grow your selection. And grow it right up to that point, right up to this point where that 5 corner comes across. Okay, and then you want to deselect that one, so that the hook comes around and forms around the nose. And we want that hook to come into the nostril, so we're going to bring it right into here. Okay, let's take those out of the selection. Let's avoid this 5-edge star because we don't want another extrusion to be right on top of that. So we're going to extrude with that shape. And we're going to get this extra edge running across the bottom side of the nostril, which in my mind is acceptable. Another option is to, not only is it acceptable to have another edge running down the bottom here, let me extrude it. So I just hit extrude. So now you've got this, couple more vertices down here to articulate the cartilage. But another option is that you could just end it in a triangle right here on the inside, and no one would ever know, and it wouldn't matter. But if you're going for an all quads perfection kind of sculpt, then this extrusion will work great. Okay, and we get that loop all the way around the mouth. And now we can continue to articulate the shape of the nose. And I don't think we have any 6 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 5s there, a 5. We should have none down there. Those are all 4-point polygons. Yeah, I'm sorry, all 4 edge on the vertices. So that's good. And now we can actually, flare out the nostril some. Okay, so there's your nostril. There's your hook. Nice. And that's really gonna make it easy to make, laugh lines and such. Really nice. Let's use the edge slide. Yeah. We're getting to that kind of density too, where of polygons and vertices where soft selection is just really going to be useful. Very nice. That went really well. I've done this a lot, and I have been known to spend hours on the nose, the J-hook, solving that, and it's really so simple, and I wish I had seen it years ago. Extrusions, extrusions. And now with box modeling, we can extrude on the center line. I'm sorry, with the modeling toolkit, we can extrude on the center line, so it's even easier. Let's turn the edge constraint off. The edge constraint, man, that's really paying off, isn't it? Right on. So now, if we want more detail, if we really need to be detailed, we could split there, we could split more here, we can split more here and here and here. So many good opportunities for detailing. Really awesome. So I'm just going to check form and contours. All right, now that I've got a decent amount of geometry in the face, I'm going back to some reference and just kind of refreshing my memory about the shapes and proportions of the skull. And one of the things a few things that I need to really focus on is the temple, the cheekbone, the brow, and how this rounds out. On the back side of the head, how it tapers outward here and tapers in this way. And how on 3/4 views the cheek is high and comes out, and then there's this downward angle, so we want to get that in. Okay, so I'm just going to minimize this. And a way to begin this process is to switch out of the modeling toolkit, go to object mode and select it in object mode. Hold down W and switch to symmetry, make sure that's turned on. Make sure tweak mode is turned on. And we're going to do a mixture of pushing and pulling and relaxing. So we're going to do tweaks. So tap B on your keyboard, and we're going to tweak some of the geometry. And so we're going to push and pull on different parts here. And before I even begin that process, I'm going to use the relax tool of the sculpt geometry. So sculpt geometry is also found, oh, there it is. I found it. I moved it to the mesh tools menu, sculpt geometry tool right there. And then open up the tool settings, and you want this fourth button here for relax. Work with a medium-sized brush, about as big as the cheek here, and go through relaxing the different parts. And notice how it pulls that cheek forward, which is really nice. We want to do that. And then in detail areas like around the corners of the mouth, just work with a smaller brush. And, oh yeah, and yeah, I forgot symmetry. Hold on. Let me undo those moves. Okay, so select it in object mode, turn on your sculpt geometry tool, and hit Alt-R. And Alt-R will do the sculpt geometry in symmetry. Okay, now I'll start over. And I like how it brings forward that eye socket. I did need that. And I also like how the relax tool helps to even out this nice matrix on the side of the cheek. It will mess up some of our finer details of profile work, So I'm kind of steering clear of that. But I just want to give it a brush over. Okay, now that I've had a little bit of work with the relax tool, okay, I'm going to hit Q and drop out of that. And then I'm going to go back to my normal move tool with tweak mode and soft select it. Actually, I could even use the modeling toolkit's tweak mode with soft selection. Let's do that. And it's the same setup where you hold down B and you can click and drag to increase or decrease the radius. And you can change the profile. And you can change the method. So you can change it from surface or volume. I recommend using surface. So that way it has to crawl the surface to find the individual parts. So here, let's work on cheekbone. Cheekbone really needs to come out. And it's okay to pull it a little hard. Move those vertices out a little bit further than you need to, and then we can always push with relax and smooth. Let's make sure from the top that the back here is coming out just a little bit further. And that we're tapering in. And of course we can compare against our own reference and see how we hold up. I think that's a pretty good tapering coming in following that line. And again, just tweak the brush size. Tweak the soft selection size to make further adjustments. I want to switch back to relax and clean these crooked lines up and have that relax pull them forward. So I'm going to hit turn off the modeling toolkit, go to object mode, go back to my sculpt geometry tool, and hit these vertices right here. And then go back to my soft selections, bring those forward just a little bit better. We could use another edge loop right here across the upper lip. Let's insert that. And I just decrease the size of the... So the illustration says my nostril is way back here. So let's grab a larger soft selection and just nudge all of that back. That's better. Yeah. And we'll have to go in there maybe point by point, make sure it's not too messed up. It says on the front view that he's actually quite narrow nose, so I guess that's a very handsome nose. It's very narrow. See how that J-hook really pays off for articulating the flare of the nostrils. Get into perspective view, and let's get out of soft selections. Just go back to vertex and just round these out a little bit. And I'm just gonna, I'm really gonna continue this process. I don't think it's absolutely necessary to sit here and watch me tweak every little thing, even though we've done an awful lot of that. There's just so much more tweaking that needs to be done. But the framework of it all is in place. There's, like I said, just one edge loop on the forehead that's missing, and there's an edge loop in the chin that's missing. But other than that, we just have ears and digits, eyeball, teeth, tongue, inside of the mouth. Most of it's just sitting here sculpting, looking at reference, stepping back. Don't forget to step back and turn off the reference. Take a look. See that nose really thinned out.